Hello everyone, Ace here, and today I have yet more news with regards to the Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The news being that it has had a catastrophic drop-off of 69%. Nice. And no, that's not me being funny, that is the actual quoted percentage of drop-off for this film, as it is now losing on its second week to The Backrooms, which is, for those who are not aware, a literal indie horror film built entirely around an internet meme with a budget of around $10 million. Okay, it's not that indie of a project, but it is still at the end of the day a budget film, a budget horror film, in the late spring / early summer, which is still managing to beat Star Wars. In fact, it's not the only one either, because Star Wars is taking third place. The second place film is called Obsession, which is another indie horror film. Adding insult to injury is the fact that the first 3 days of Backrooms' release saw it gross around $81.5 million, at least domestically anyways, which is pretty impressive. But to add further insult to injury, consider for a moment that the first 3 days that Disney's Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu released, it managed a gross domestic box office of around $81.7 million. The massive Disney blockbuster Star Wars film managed to gross a domestic box office of only $200,000 more than the indie horror film based exclusively around an internet meme. Now, technically, you could argue that the actual opening weekend for The Mandalorian and Grogu was $102 million domestic. However, it is worth noting that this was a 4-day weekend because it was Memorial Weekend. Thus, Monday was technically counted as a weekend day for that specific week, giving Disney an extra day, an extra little advantage to skew the statistics that little bit more in their favor. Is it enough to actually make that film be profitable? No. But it does make the opening weekend look better than it would be if we just factored in the first 3 days. Because once you factor in just the first 3 days specifically, it barely sold more than Backrooms. And judging by the catastrophic drop-off since, yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu is not a film that's going to recover anytime soon.